Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I am so glad that you're with me today because this is a topic that explains so much of what I see in my practice and so much of what many of you are living with day to day. So, today's Facebook Live is called Oxalates, Mold, SIBO, and Histamine and how it's all connected. So, first things first, if you've ever felt like everything bothers me now, I react to foods that are supposed to be deemed healthy, my symptoms don't make sense or change all the time, then this one is for you because these issues don't exist in isolation. They are deeply connected, and when you understand the connection, then things stop feeling so random and they start making sense. So, first, let's start with the big picture. Your body is incredibly smart. It's designed to handle small amounts of stress, toxins, histamine, and inflammatory compounds. The problem isn't the exposure, it's the actual load. I like to use the sink analogy. Anybody that watches any of my lives, you know I always use analogies. But I like to use the sink analogy in this one. You got water coming in from the faucet and a drain that lets water out. As long as the drain works, the sink is fine. But if the drain is slow or clogged, even normal water flow can cause overflow. That overflow in this case is symptoms. And for many people, SIBO, histamine intolerance, oxalate sensitivity, and mold exposure are all adding water to that same sink. Now, let's start with SIBO because this is often the foundation. SIBO stands for small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. It means bacteria that should live lower in the gut have moved up into the small intestine. Now, when that happens, food ferments too early, gas builds up, bloating, pain, and pressure increase. Digestive enzymes and bile don't work efficiently. But here's the key connection here. Some of these bacteria actually produce histamine. They only damage the gut, they also damage the gut lining and interfere with DAO, which is the enzyme that breaks histamine down. So, in turn, histamine builds up even if your diet looks clean. Now, since we're talking about histamine, let's hit on that next. Histamine is not bad. You need it. It helps with digestion, immune defense, and brain signaling. The problem is too much histamine coming in, or too much histamine being produced, or not enough histamines being broken down. And this is why people suddenly react to leftovers, fermented foods, healthy foods like spinach, avocado, tomatoes, bone broth, wine. Wine is a big one, and vinegar. It's not that these foods are or are unhealthy. It's that the system is overloaded. Now, let's talk about oxalates. Oxalates are natural compounds found in foods like spinach, almonds, beets, sweet potatoes, dark chocolate. You get the idea here. They're all healthy foods. So, in a healthy gut, oxalates bind to minerals like calcium and get excreted. But when you have gut inflammation, SIBO or dysbiosis present, fat malabsorption, or low minerals, oxalates get absorbed instead of excreted. And once absorbed, they can irritate tissues, nerves, joints, and the bladder. And this can show up as burning or tingling sensations, joint or muscle pain, pelvic or bladder discomfort, fatigue, or brain fog. Now, here's the important connection here. Oxalates can activate mast cells, which in turn release histamine. So even if you're eating low histamine foods, oxalates may still be driving your symptoms. Now, let's talk about mold because this is often the missing piece. Mold exposure is a huge stressor to the immune and nervous systems. Mold toxins can suppress immune regulation, they can disrupt detox pathways, they can damage the gut lining, and increase inflammation. And most importantly for today's topic, mold can activate mast cells and dramatically increase histamine release. You see all the connections here. So now, in turn, we have SIBO increasing histamine, oxalates triggering mast cells, mold overwhelming detox pathways, and no wonder your symptoms feel unpredictable. Now, let's talk about why aggressive approaches often backfire. When people feel awful, they want relief fast. So, in turn, they cut out tons of foods, they jump into strong antimicrobials, they push detox hard, and they stack supplements. But in an already sensitive system, this often makes symptoms worse. So instead, let's talk about generalized strategies that actually support healing. First things first, the most important thing is calming the system. You have to calm the system. A stressed body does not digest well. A stressed body does not detox well. Now, since I've got that out the way, general strategies here include eating consistently instead of skipping meals, avoiding long fasts if they worsen symptoms, keeping meals simple and predictable, and reducing stimulants like excess caffeine. So this isn't about restriction, it's about creating safety in your body. A body that feels safe heals better. Now, next, let's talk about supporting gut motility. Killing bacteria without improving motility is like mopping up water without fixing the leak. General motility support includes regular meal timing, hydration with electrolytes, gentle daily movement, and nervous system regulation. When motility improves, tolerance improves. Now, let's talk about the next step is temporarily lowering histamine and oxalate load. Now, this does not mean avoiding these foods forever. I have to put that claim out there because a lot of people get frustrated and think that because they can't tolerate certain foods that they're not going to be able to ever eat these foods again, and that is not the case. It basically means you're avoiding stacking triggers, you're rotating foods intentionally, you're being cautious with leftovers, and pulling back on high oxalate foods while you're healing. This often reduces symptoms dramatically. Now, next step is supporting digestion itself. So, poor digestion increases fermentation, increases histamine, and increases oxalate absorption. So, helpful strategies here include eating in a relaxed state. That is so, so important. Like, get off your phone, stop multitasking, sit down, spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes on eating your meal. So, eating in a relaxed state is number one. Chewing your food thoroughly, avoiding excessive fluid with meals. A lot of people don't realize that drinking a lot of fluids or a lot of water, liquids with meals actually can dampen stomach acid. Um, and then supporting stomach acid and bowel gently. So when digestion improves, food reactions often decrease. Now, the next step is supporting the gut lining and the immune system. A compromised gut barrier leads to more histamine release, more oxalate absorption, and more immune activation. And this is where consistency matters more than intensity. Healing takes time, not force. And with that being said, the next step, and this is so, so, so important, is the next step is supporting your detox pathways, especially with mold exposure. Detox should feel supportive, not depleting to your body. And general support here includes, first and foremost, any time before I even move into any protocol or detox anything with a client, the number one thing that has to be done is ensuring daily bowel movements. So that is number one. And then the next support is supporting liver and bowel flow. And then the next is gentle lymphatic movement. And also the careful use of binders if appropriate. If symptoms spike, it's typically a sign to slow down, not push harder. Now, the final step is addressing microbial overgrowth. So, this is where antimicrobial work can be helpful, but only after the foundation is in place. So, the key principles here are go start slow, go low, use phases, support the body during the process. This avoids the cycle of feeling worse every time you try to fix things. Now, let's pull all this together. SIBO, histamine intolerance, oxalate sensitivity, and mold exposure are not separate problems. They're part of a larger pattern involving gut health, immune regulation, detox capacity, and nervous system function. So, when you address them all in the right order, the body becomes more resilient, not more reactive. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, this finally explains my symptoms, you're not broken, your body is overwhelmed, and that can be supported. This is exactly the type of work I do as a functional practitioner, helping people connect the dots instead of chasing symptoms. And if you'd like help figuring out your next steps, you can comment below, message me, or reach out through my page. And if this live helped you, please like it, share it, and send it to someone who feels stuck and overwhelmed. Thank you so much for being here today, and I will see you next time.